Hello, I'm Harry Riley. Welcome to Harry's 10-Minute Tales. This is called Dreadful Murder at Chestnut Bottoms by Harry Riley. This is fiction, but based on an actual event. Prisoner at the bar, stand up straight. Is there anything you wish to say before sentence is passed? The illiterate man in the dock at the Assizes Court looked straight ahead and in a faltering voice addressed the bewigged judge. "It was the demon drink what did for me, your honour, infected me mind and brought them voices to me head. I love my Martha and the kids and would not have done what I did otherwise." He hesitated before continuing in a stronger voice. "I think I'm ready to meet my Maker now and join him in heaven." The crowded courtroom booed and jeered as Mr. Justice Peacock put on his black cap and struck his gavel down on the bench for silence. "The sentence is death by public hanging." It was hardly more than a shack in the forest. After a period of sustained rainfall, the patch roof would leak in several places, and the earthen floor of the sparse interior would become soft and soggy with mud, churned up by the barefoot children. Inside this hovel lived Tom Chapman, a gamekeeper's assistant, Martha, his common-law wife, and 3 youngsters. They scratched a hard living from forest kill, a rabbit or 2, the meat mixed with a few sparse vegetables grown behind the low wicker fence, mixed into a rough stew. Michael Everton, the official gamekeeper, and his family lived on a slightly higher plane. They kept chickens and a pig, and occasionally a little of their surplus fare would trickle down the line to the ragged Chapmans. This was life in the raw, in rural Nottinghamshire, in 1840. Tom and Martha rubbed along together as best they could in this miserable squalor. To gain a brief respite from the daily grind, the forester, come handyman, would drink himself silly from home-brewed liquor, distilled from woodland slowberries. In spite of this, when sober, he was known to be a kind and considerate worker, who did his best to bring up his brood in a God-fearing way. The previous winter had been a hard one, and they had lost 2 of their children to pneumonia. At harvest time, Martha and the other women would help bring in the crop. The gleanings had been hardly sufficient to provide bread for the winter, and the few pennies paid to Tom from the estate employers for his mole killing and other labours had not been enough to feed and clothe his family. It was late one evening when a crisis erupted for the hunger-stricken family. It had been announced that the land surrounding the farm, their own meagre steading and that of the gamekeeper, was to be cleared for the introduction of a new lace factory. He would be thrown out of work, and the family consigned to the workhouse. Drunk and at his wits' end, Tom Chapman could think of only one way out. He took his sharp woodcutter's knife and slit the throats of Martha and the 3 children. When he didn't turn up for work the next day, the gamekeeper went to look for him and discovered the dreadful scene. The murder case caught the attention of the public in a really big way. Industrialisation was sweeping through the country, taking men from the fields and ruining the hosiery cottages. The price of a simple loaf of bread had rocketed, and sedition was in the air. Nobody could justify such a vile and wicked crime, but many people, many ordinary folk, could understand and empathise with the perpetrator. They thought he had been pushed beyond human endurance, driven to madness by an uncaring landlord. Thousands flocked to witness the public execution. The cart taking the condemned man under escort up Gallows Hill would usually stop by tradition to offer him a last drink at the King's Head public house. On this occasion, Tom Chapman refused, saying he just wanted to get it over with. At the duly appointed hour, the unruly crowd surged forward en masse to get a better view, and as he dropped through the trapdoor, the screams began. Hundreds of onlookers were injured in the crush of bodies caught in the narrow street. Many collapsed and had to be carried over the heads of those still standing. It was later recorded that a dozen deaths had occurred. A messenger blowing a horn, desperately tried to force his way through the throng, but to no avail. He carried an important document, a reprieve for Tom Chapman. If the prisoner had stopped for a drink at the pub, he might have been spared the hangman's noose.